Khan A, Shalom, Shalom, Akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. I would also like to give a double honors to the beloved elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. I would also like to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000 men of Israel, which consists of the servants, the prophets, whom have been ordained since the foundations of this earth to sing this new song, which comes in the form of this gospel, which would be preached throughout all four corners of this earth and rest upon the heirs of the innumerable multitude, men, women, and children of Israel, who may be scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. Shalom. A shalom, beloved Akim and Akwav. Just by on back again through the spirit, power, mercy, and grace of our power. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to bring on some information, regarding the situation going on between, Babylon the Great and Venezuela. As we know, word on the street, they've captured Nicholas, what's his dude's name, Maduro, or Maduro rather, and his wife. And again, we understand that, Babylon the Great operates under the, energy of, covenantship, at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, man, like we already know, like we're living in a movie. Evil E is in the form of the global elite. They're playing both sides of the team. They're playing both sides of the fence. And at the end of the day, pretty much prophecy is what we rely on. Prophecy is what we're, gauging everything by. As much as, things are happening, things are happening around the world, but a lot of it's Psyop, man. A lot of it's Psyop, a lot of it's AI generated, but at the end of the day, it's all, prophetically going to come to a close, at the end of the day. But, the point of the matter is this, bro. The situation that's going on over there in Venezuela, all right, your boy Trump's trying to dress it up as if they were trying to stop, the violence over there or what have you, as if, they were as if he's trying to clean up the place. But no, in reality, as the regime, Western regime has always done, they're going in for a resource. And we're going to show you that through the spirit. But needless to say, I got a few pieces of information, showing you that, what they're doing is not being approved of, from their counterparts are not approving of it. Those that are against them are not with it. And ultimately, Esau is being exposed. As much as he's trying to make himself seem like a hero, going out to Venezuela and doing his thing, he's making himself look like a bully, and ultimately,
As much as he's trying to dress it up like he's some type of superhero, it was an inside job, man. They gave this guy up. You know, there was no resistance. You see, the Venezuelan military, they didn't fight back. It was a walkthrough. You see, but needless to say, Esau's being figured out. You know, let me open up with this real quick through the spirit. You know, but trust and believe. He's using Let me see here. Bear with me, Akiam and Aqua. Let me see something real quick. This thing's jumping around on me. Okay, there it goes. All right, then real quick. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 25, and verse let me see something. 8, 7. Forgive me. Isaiah 25 and 7. And it reads, "And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations." Okay, now, you know, this mountain's talking about Babylon the Great, right? And when you tap into we've done this, you know, before, but for new listeners, I'm gonna do it again, right? When you tap into this word, I believe it's this word. Let me see here. This word cast.
3874. Loot.
All right, bear with me. And it goes into under biblical usage. It goes into to wrap tightly, right? To enwrap, to envelope, right? To envelope. Let me see. I want to go down to the when you put anything into an envelope, you're concealing it, right? You're hiding it. Hold on for a second. I believe I want to go down here to the Charles D. Yeah, Con. So when you go down to the Charles D lexicon, all right, it says to cover up, all right, to cover up, to hide, right, to wrap up, right. Let's see here. Hidden. Look at hidden, secret. Look at secretly, wrapped up. Go down a little bit further. To do secretly. All right. Look at secret arts, right? Incantations, right? And when you let me see. When you get this word, incantations. All right. AI overview. It says an incantation is a spoken, chanted, or written magical formula, right? Often with arithmetic or poetic words, intended to produce a supernatural effect, like a spell or a charm. All right, we see them exercise this on their media. That's what their media is all about. Which media goes into medium. You know, you see them standing up there on the podium, you know, reading off a text, reading off a screen. All right, literally putting spells on the people that are watching. All right, look at drawing power from the belief in the mysterious potency of language. You see that? That's why the spelling, the word spell, they're casting spells on people, man. Let's see here. And that's pretty much the point. You see? And this is what through the spirit, this is what Esau has always been doing. All right. Esau is one of his secret weapons, besides the sword, is him being able to deceive. Okay, deception. All right. This is why when you get this let me see something real quick. Now I got this this article, right? And I got a few pieces of information. Now I got this right here from Natural News. All right, it's dated December 19th, 2025. Right? And the title reads, "Shadows of Truth." Okay? How governments and big tech manipulate reality. All right? And this is the article right here. All right? I'm going to read it again. The title reads, "Shadows of Truth. How governments and big tech manipulate reality, right? And we know now one of their go-tos is AI, right? AI is one of the main ways they're being able to manipulate reality. Now, real quick, watch this. So when you tap into this, it says modern deception is systemic. Right? Who do you think's behind this? Esau, man. Again, siding with the global elite, Amalek. Look at modern deception is systemic, bro. And here's how we know we under wicked rulers. Look at using AI-driven propaganda, right? Deep fakes and algorithmic censorship to manipulate public perception. Historical precedents like CIA's Operation Mockingbird evolved into today's AI-powered narrative control. Listen to this. Governments and intelligence agencies stage crises, right, to justify wars. All right, which just will lead you to a psyop, which is, we're going to go get that, right? Look at leaked documents and whistleblowers' testimonies expose these tactics as deliberate theater. All right, now that would lead us to Psalms. What's that? Psalms, I think that's Psalms, their own tongues fall upon themselves, shall fall upon themselves, bro. The book of Psalms, 60 something. But needless to say, but we've seen that at an alignment rate. All right, where Esau's snitching on himself. The Lord's putting the spirit on him to bring out intimate, sensitive, critical, classified information. You know? And we take it and wire it with the scriptures and prophecy, make it make sense. But needless to say, again, as I mentioned before, it says this. Governments and intelligence agencies stage crises to justify wars, bro. Hey, psyops. Okay? Real quick. When you get, and we've done this many times before as well, right? When you get this word psyop, right? I'm going to get it in the Wikipedia, which is short for psychological operations, right? Listen to this. Psychological operations, or a psyop, is to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their motives and objective reasoning. And ultimately, the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and large foreign powers. Who's behind these psyops? The elite. That's why they say the saying is all wars are bankers' wars, right? Right? Listen to this. The purpose of United States psychological operations is to induce or reinforce behavior perceived to be favorable to U.S. objectives. You see? So it's always to make them seem like the heroes, right? It's always to make them seem like, you know, they're doing it for the under the guise of health, right? You lucky, I know where I'm going with that, right? Right, under the guise of the sake of humanity and, you know, for the sake of the people. Listen to this. But again, it always dresses Babylon up as if she's the peacemaker, right? They are an important part of the range of diplomatic, informational, military, and economic activities available to the U.S. They can be utilized during both peacetime and conflict. There are three main types: strategic, operational, and tactical. Strategic PSYOP includes informational activities conducted by the U.S. government agencies outside of the military arena. Though many utilize Department of Defense, right, DOD assets, where operational PSYOP are conducted across the range of military operations, including during peacetime, in a defined operational area to promote the effectiveness of the Joint Force Commanders' campaigns and strategies. Tactical PSYOP are conducted in an area assigned to a tactical commander across the range of military operations to support the tactical mission against opposing forces. And this is what we witnessed over there in Venezuela. All right? Now, Esau supposedly, captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife, right? And again, I got this article right here. Let me get this article real quick. This is from Zero Hedge, right? And it's dated Sunday, January 4th, 2026, today. the title reads, right? And it reads Maduro, and it reads, quote, Maduro effed up around, Maduro effed around and found out, Trump says. All right, that's quote. Maduro effed around and found out, Trump says, right? We will run Venezuela until safe transition after Operation Absolute Resolve. All right, and this is something they have put into effect. It's called Operation Absolute Resolve. Pretty much U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife in an early morning raid, right, and sent him to the U.S. to face criminal charges. I believe he's in New York. Now, we're gonna show you why this whole thing popped off through the spirit, right? Contrary to what they say, you know, when you get down to the nitty gritty facts and statistics of what's going on out there, you see why they're really out there. Look at, let me see here. It says no service members or military equipment was lost, right? Because there was no resistance. They weren't resisted. You see? Let me see here. It says Trump says we're going to stay in Venezuela until such time as the proper transition can take place. Right? Let me see here. Let me jump down a little bit. All right, here we go. All right, it says the international reaction, right, has been predictably mixed. Right? Brazil, Russia, Colombia, Mexico, and Cuba rejected the U.S. military action. If I'm not mistaken, Trump said Cuba's next. One of you brothers or sisters can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it, he said Cuba's next, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me read that again. Brazil, Russia, Colombia, Mexico, and Cuba rejected the U.S. military action, with some calling for a meeting of the United Nations Security Council, right? EU leadership shrugs after long lecturing the world on the so-called rules-based order. There's no rules with Esau. And again, at the end of the day, these shots are being called from way up top. All right, that's something that has to be understood. We know this. You know, Amalek, these international banking families are moving these chess pieces around, of course, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? But again, the world is a movie, right? Look, U.S. Democrats have raised questions over the legality of the strikes. Trump dismissed his congressional critics, right, as weak and stupid people. You know, he's always going, the old boy's always going on a tirade, right? Let me see here. And you know they're going to end up putting a puppet leader in there, right? That's going to help them accommodate that what? That oil. Because this is what this whole thing is talking to. Matter of fact, let me just get to the point here. When I got another piece of information, right? Another article I had came across. This is on Zero Hedge as well, right? And the title reads, it's dated yesterday, January 3rd, all right, 2026. And the title of this article is Visualizing All of the World's Oil Reserves by Country. All right? Now, real quick. It says oil remains one of the most strategical, important resources in the global economy. It powers transportation systems, underpins industrial activity, and continues to shape geopolitics, and trade flows. Right? While renewable energy is growing, oil still plays a dominant role in meeting global energy needs. All right, now this is a visualization, all right, of all the countries and the size of their oil reserves, okay? They made a graph. So check this out. I know you probably won't be able to see it. I'll let you know. Maybe you will be able to see it, but all right. You see that? So you see all that blue down there? Yeah, you can see it. Venezuela, man, with over 303 billion barrels. All right, with Saudi Arabia, and the UAE in them, right, coming up second, with the second most, right? So And when you paint this picture, hey, you already know evil E, he's in there for that resource, right? He's in there for the resource, man. And that's the real deal. Holyfield, all right? Because this is what he always does. Now, real quick, when you go to the book of Micah, matter of fact, I'm gonna grab this in the NLT. Yeah, this is the book of Micah, chapter 2, and verse 1, right? In the NLT. And the title reads, Judgment Against Wealthy Oppressors, bro. Right? And again, we know where we are now, all right, in time. The global elite rule the world stage. All right, point blank period. The small hats, the Amalekites, the chief house of Esau, those gutter rats, those big nose people. All right, those culture vultures, those imposters. All right, in the form of the international banking families. All right, they would be your wealthy oppressors. You see, again, controlling both sides of the spectrum. You see, Venezuela was told to stand down. All right, but at the end of the day, this is all prophecy. Prophecy's playing out. Because when you look at it through another onion layer, all right, them are Israelites down there, as the beloved brother Yashamak made the point in his lesson he did earlier today, which makes all the sense in the world. All right, hey, Jake, you ain't got no help. You can't expect the allies that Venezuela thinks they had to back them up. You know, like Russia and China and them, man. No one's gonna buy you. All right, as scriptures say, in the curses, man. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. No one's gonna buy you, man. Which means redeem you. You see? The only hope we got is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And this is what you, Jacob, finding out. You Venezuelans are pretty much falling victim to Jacob's trouble. But let me continue on. Micah 2 and 1. What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans, bro? And this is what they do. This is what the wicked do. Matter of fact, let me get a quick precept. Right? This is the book, the Wadi al-Bashim Shah. This one hit me real quick. This is a heavy hitter. The book of Proverbs, chapter 4. In verse 14, 144, Qala Yahabashim Shai reads this: Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. And again, we always make the mention, and we're going to continue to establish the point. The wicked is evil Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's proven through Malachi 1 and 4. All right, that's the proof that it's him. Right, look, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, right? They as in the wicked, right? They sleep not, except they have done mischief. And their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. All right, so evil E, he's wired to do wickedness, man. You cannot expect him to do good. You're a fool to think that he's going to do good. He's not built like that. That's like expecting a lion, right? Not to eat the wildebeest, bro. That's just not gonna add up. It's not gonna happen. That lion, they're gonna devour that thing, man. Okay? They're not. That's the way it goes. They're wired like that on this side. Look, right? Continuing on. For they eat the bread of wickedness. Proverbs 4 and 17. Right? The wicked, right? Look at, they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence, bro. Hence this man's whole track record. All right? They've been at war over 90% of the time they've been in power. All this makes sense now. When you read precepts like this, you start to glance on Esau, when you put the scopeo on them, it's like, oh shit, it makes sense. You see? Going back to Micah. And it gets better. Right? Continuing on in Micah, chapter 2 and verse 1, from the top. What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so, bro. You see, Evil E's in the power seat. He has the power to do what he's doing, but there's a penalty for what he's doing. But again, he didn't consider his latter end. But he's going to have to face it, though, right? When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it, all right? Right, you address the leader up as a boogeyman, right? You will send in crisis actors, right? You will set up scenarios, right, to justify your hand. When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence, bro. All right, and this is literally in this dude's history. Look, you cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance, bro. All right, and he's clearly done this to us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, bro. All right, that's why the Lord, he coined Esau the wicked, right, as the destroyer of his heritage, bro. You see, he's done that to us firsthand. Right, look, continuing on, Micah 2 and 3. But this is what the Lord says. I will reward your evil with evil, bro. Hence why it's going to be an Edomite on Edomite fallout. All right, because as we know, pursuing the biblical prophecy, all right, the Lord's going to put the hook in Russia's jaw, Gog, Magog, the bear, and turn him back, all right, and pretty much sick him on Esau on the west. Right? Remember, them Russians are Edomites as well. You see? The Lord's going to use Edomite to descend upon Edomite. All right, they're all wicked. You know? The Lord's going to reward evil with this guy. He's going to meet him. Hey, he's going to come with, the Lord's going to come at Esau with the same energy he's outputting. You see? I will reward you evil with evil. You won't be able to pull your neck out of the noose. Okay? You know, you love making them nooses for us, right? You know, well, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? You're gonna receive the same thing, bro. You ain't gonna be able to remove your neck from this noose, bro. You will no longer walk around proudly, for it will be a terrible time. Okay? So evil and only evil, right, is coming to Evil E. You know, but the reality is this, man. A lot of what we're seeing is Psyop. It's Psyop season. You know, as we titled it, and it's gonna get worse. This word cast. Let me turn this down, forgive me. You know, and it's gonna get worse. As far as the power plays Evil E's gonna try to blink, you know, utilizing AI and just crazy moves he's gonna make on the chessboard. You know, he's gonna make crazy moves. You know, but hey, you're not gonna deceive the elect, Lord, one with part of that precious number. You know, Abaratazah. You know, but yeah, man, you know, we're keeping an eye on what's going on over there, you know, in Venezuela as far as the whole capturing of Nicholas and his wife and how that's going to play out and just, you know, see where this thing goes from there. But needless to say, we already know via biblical prophecy that World War III is over the horizon. There's no way to avoid it. Let's go get this real quick and we'll close out. At the end of the day, all things lead to World War III. Right? Regardless of what tricks Esau thinks he's pulling out of his sleeve. The book of Revelation, chapter, bear with me, Akiyam. Let me go, Revelations 11. Let me get this one. Yeah, this is what I want. Revelations 11 and 14. And it reads this. The second woe is past. Woe is the destruction. The second woe, that's talking to the Second World War. It's past. Right? And behold, look. And behold, The third woe cometh quickly. This is where this thing is going at the end of the day. All right? At the end of the day, this is where it's going. Third world's woe. All right? Which is going to be the end of evil E. You see? So all he's doing is playing in the hand of the Lord. Because right now they think they're going to be, the part of them drilling over there in Venezuela and pumping all that oil out of there is going to help them stabilize this fourth industrial revolution and, mock up that diabolical dream they got. But all it's doing is it's walking them to the day of doom, you see? But, hey, that's the point, Akim and Akwab. Hey, it's Psyop season. Stay locked into the spirit. Stay locked into the spirit. But we already know, man, hey, the elect won't be deceived, Lord willing, we're part of that precious number. Man. We can see right through this dude like a looking glass, man. All right, hey, Lord willing, you beloved Akiyam and Akwab were edified. Hey, Lord willing, you were spiritually fed through the spirit, power, mercy, and grace of our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, till next time, beloved Akiyam and Akwab, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah, Kodash. A double honors to the beloved elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. Hey, Shalom.